Very good afternoon and namaskar viewers. Today I, Dr. Renu Tomar, welcome you again on the series of lecture on distance education in India. Friends, I welcome you again to CEC Gurukul lectures. On this topic which we are going to begin today, we shall be discussing that how distance education has come into being, what important role it was assigned in the history of Indian education, how it has progressed in the history and where it stands present, and how it is being taken up by NEP 2020. Because friends, distance education in India has taken up a very important role as far as education in India is concerned, may it be the school education or may it be the higher education. And this has been realized in NEP 2020 also, that distance education shall not be given a back seat. In fact, it should be given a front seat and it should be geared up so that it can help in improving GER. So friends, on this note, let us begin what distance education is. Friends, distance education is known by different names in different countries. Some of the terms which are used for the distance education are correspondence education in UK. This is the vocabulary which is being used in India also. For example, if you have a look at the higher education distance mode in University of Delhi, it is called correspondence education only. In Australia, it is referred to as external studies or off campus, and if you have a look in the France, then it is called tele-enseignement, and in Germany it is referred as Fernunterricht, and in Spanish it is referred as distanciate Spanish. In Portuguese it is referred as tele-educação, and in New Zealand it is referred as extramural 4. In 1926, friends, for the first time the correspondence school came into being and it formed a new association which was called National Home Study Council. Friends, as we have understood that in different countries it is referred by different names, but the purpose it serves in the different nation is almost same. When we talk about open education or distance education, there is marginal difference between the two. We can say that both are almost same but a bit different. On that topic also we shall be discussing in today's lecture. How it has been addressed as by UNESCO, this is an important thing which all of us should be knowing. In UNESCO volume terminology of adult education, called it as a postal service with the teacher and learner being unavailable to each other. It was called correspondence education by the UNESCO because it was basically taken as postal services. By postal services, what I mean, friend, is that teacher and learner shall be unavailable to each other. That means that the teacher and learner will be associated by the learning material which is being prepared by teachers and being made available to learners. Thereby, learners are learning on that front and teachers are working so that the learner would be improving their basic skills in different areas. So, it's not just the written material which we refer to whenever we talk about the open education or distance education. In fact, the material is also provided in the form of tapes, that is recorded material. It is also made in the form of, presently it is also made in the form of via television, because you are also viewing or benefiting from the education online or the direct viewership. So, these kind of modes are being utilized by the distance education because main campus is not available to the students who are studying through distance education. So, the instructions are offered outside the main campus and the multimedia is being utilized for making education available to those students. So friends, this is something which is important. We need to learn that the education, the mode of education in case of distance education is multimedia, or presently we can say the information technology, or we can also say that now the education will be available in the form of e-learning. So, these are the various forms of modes through which learning is available to the students, because the student is removed from the teacher, not just in form of space but also in form of time. In the form of time means the material usually which is written by the teacher, recorded by the teacher, might have been done weeks back, months back, days back, and even year back, and that is made available to the student by utilizing multimedia mode. Learner is getting benefited through communication between teacher and learner through artificial media, may it be the electronic or print, because the communication here is not direct. The learner and teacher are not talking to each other face to face. By definition, we can say that this is an education which is beyond the four walls of the classroom. We can also say that distance education by definition means the communication is through technology. Here, the decision what the learner is going to benefit from is taken in absentia of the learner, and learner has the benefit of deciding that what kind of learning he or she wants to. That means the learning material may have been prepared not keeping in view the learner's knowledge, information or the level, but learner would have choice, and because it is a choice based education and because technology is being utilized by the teacher to benefit the learner, thereby learner would be benefiting by the learning process which is open to the learner as well as for the benefit of the learner. Because usually it is seen whenever we talk about e-learning or we talk about learning through the distance mode, there are different kind of levels which are prepared for the learner. That means the learner moves from one level to the another, and accordingly he or she is provided the learning material or the information, because it is known to the teachers who are working at the back end that what kind of information is to be provided at the basic level. Then when the student move to intermediate level, how he is to be upgraded by adding the information in his educational material, and when the student is through with the intermediate, then the student can be promoted to the higher level, and then the higher level to the more specialized level. So, this is how the distance education system is decided. That means that whenever we talk about distance education, in that the most important aspect is the level of the student. He or she has to be benefited, but because the student cannot be benefited by the teacher in front of him or her, because it is being done outside the four walls of the classroom, so the things are presumed and accordingly worked upon, and with the help of technology the teaching learning methodologies are taken up, learning material is reaching the student and the student is benefiting. Friends, if we define distance education as per the Desmond Keegan. Desmond Keegan is a well-known academician when we talk about distance education. He has characterized distance education with, first, it is quasi-permanent separation as far as teacher and learner are concerned, and this is happening throughout the learning process. Why he has called it quasi-permanent? it is neither permanent. Why not permanent? Because in distance education also, student will be interacting with the teacher, the learner will be interacting with the teacher, but it wouldn't be as regular as it is in the regular mode. Student will have chance and choice to interact with the teacher with his or her problem and accordingly be guided. So, that is why Desmond Keegan has called it quasi-permanent. Then, the distance education also is something which influences educational organization in preparing the learning material and providing support service to the learners. Another characteristics of distance education as far as Desmond is concerned is that it uses technical media to unite the teacher and the learner and to carry the content of the course. So, when we have a look at all these characteristics which have been given by the Desmond, all the three characteristics, we can easily identify the organizations which are working for the distance education. Friends, the most well-known organization and a very big organization which is working for the school education is NIOS, which is also working at the level of state as SIOS. Then at the level of higher education, the biggest distance education university is IGNOU, as all of us are aware of it, that how it is benefiting the students not just in India, but also benefiting the students who are living somewhere outside. So, all the three characteristics will help us to understand that how these organizations are working for distance education. Most important thing, whenever we have a look at the historical perspective, for the historical perspective in distance education, we see that the distance education is often used as a open learning. Now, let us try to identify what open learning is and how it is different from the distance education. In fact, they are used interchangeable also and they are compatible also in the real sense. How are they compatible? Because in case of distance education, the learner and the teacher are apart as far as the space and time is concerned. In case of open learning also, we find that the teacher and learner are linked only by technology. The only difference can be that in the case of open learning, we usually allow lot of freedom to the students. Freedom in the context of curriculum, freedom in the context of entry, freedom in the context of exit as well. So, if we try to understand the difference between the two, let us take example of Rumble and Harry, who has provided 4 aspects of open learning. 1. Learner will not be debarred from admission to programs on account of their qualification. So, friends, this means that a student might have only studied in some school with certain language till class 6, and if the student is found to be eligible as far as his knowledge and learning is concerned for class 9th, then he or she can be admitted in the open system. We cannot be debarred to the programs on account of their qualification. Second is that learning would be based at home. Learner will not be required to sit in the 4 wall as to understand things. And in case of open learning, new methods of teaching shall be utilized, new ideas are being utilized, and both teacher as well as the curriculum framework workers are open. The framers as well as teachers are open to the new ideas and new methods of teaching. So, friends, when we talk about open learning, it means that the qualification criteria will not be there whenever we talk about open education, and the place and time shall be chosen by the student himself, because the student can learn at home also, and it would also mean that the learner would be a decision maker in the open learning system. So friends, all of us must have understood what open learning is concerned about and how it is different from the distance learning. To define open learning, we should say that it is a philosophy rather than a pedagogic method. Why is it philosophy? Because it is a philosophy which believes that the learner need not be in the four wall. It believes that the learner should have the complete choices whenever the education system is being concerned, may it be the pedagogic method, may it be the space of the student, may it be the time of the student, may it be the curriculum of the student. So this is more of a philosophy than a pedagogic method. According to Bates, who defined in 2005 educational policy in his book, that open learning is more of an educational policy, as the word itself states open, which means removal of any sign of barriers that disallow a student to pursue education. So friends, on this note we can understand that how distance education and open learning are different from each other. Open learning may have the characteristics of the distance learning, but the distance learning will not be having all the characteristics of open learning. So this is how both open learning and distance learning are similar to each other as well as different from each other. Now let us talk about e-learning or online learning. What is e-learning or online learning? E-learning or online learning is not same as the distance education. As because open learning is dependent upon the technology, so e-learning or online learning is more near to the open learning than to the distance education. Because in the case of an open learning, technology will be used more, the student will also have more choices regarding the curriculum, regarding the programs, regarding his levels. Similarly, the student will be using more of a technology and the four world will not be applicable when we talk about online learning on the student. So friends, now let us try to understand that how distance education has affected the India scenario. To understand that, first of all, let us try to understand what distance education is. In Indian context, we can say that the distance education is not something which is new. Why is it not new? It is something which existed in India. Let us take example of Eklavya. Friends, if you remember who Eklavya was someone about whose story we have read when we were kids. He is also referred to in Mahabharata. He was a very poor boy from a poor caste, but he wanted best knowledge and he wanted to be a best archer. So, who was the guru? Dronacharya. That guru was teacher of Pandavas and Kauravas, and because he was the one who was teaching Rajkumars, when Eklavya went to him to seek education, he was rejected because of his caste, because his guru said that archery is not something which is natural to him because he is not of the royalty, and moreover due to this reason he cannot teach him. What Eklavya did was that he started learning archery just by seeing how that guru Dronacharya was teaching Arjun and other Pandavas and Kauravas. He was looking guru throughout the tenure and trying to learn all the skills, and the result was that once there was a dog who was disturbing Eklavya while he was practicing. So what he did was that he filled the dog's mouth with the tir, and the result was when the dog was seen by Guru Dronacharya, he was amazed to see the skill of the archer, and he called upon Eklavya to understand that who was his master who has trained him so well. When Guru Dronacharya saw the clay model of his own, and Eklavya told him that he was his student because he was learning from him and he was practicing in front of his clay mud idol, and because of his practice and because of the learning which he was taking in absentia in a way, because the Guru Dronacharya or the Pandavas were not aware of it, that there was someone who was watching them and learning, and he was practicing at home to such an extent that he became even better than the best student of Dronacharya, that was Arjuna. So the result was that Guru Dronacharya, when he realized that Eklavya was a better student, he asked for his fee. He said he will have to pay the fee to the Guru, and when Eklavya agreed that he is ready to pay the Guru, Eklavya was asked to give his thumb. This is a story which is known to each one of us, friend. Why I have narrated this story is to make you understand that what distance education is. So distance education is not something which has entered in present scenario. Distance education existed even in the history, and the example of this is the story of Eklavya. So on this note, friends, I will take your leave. I will join you again in the next lecture of the same series. So I take your leave. I am going to join you soon. Thanks and namaskar and have a good day.